What's up, you guys? How are you doing? I hope you're doing fantastic. Today we're reacting to 5 real serial killers who inspired AHS characters. I myself, I don't watch American Horror Story. I've kind of caught a couple episodes, but I didn't get into it. The only shows I have really actually watched through, or like a lot of episodes of, have been Fringe. If you guys know what that show, if you guys know what Fringe is, comment down below if you guys know what Fringe is. By the way, it's a really good show. And Supernatural, yo. If you're also a fan of Supernatural, comment SPN fam down in the comments. But without further ado, let's hop in this video and Lego.
The American Horror Story TV show has been popular since its release, and with its 5th season coming to an end, there are already rumours about the 6th season being based around the legendary Slender Man.
Oh, sweet!
If the rumours are correct, although the Slender Man is a fictional character, the new season will no doubt feature some characters based on real-life people, something the show frequently does. Now, if you've seen my other American Horror Story video,
I've seen this dude.
Inspired things in the
and another one of the videos we reacted to.
5 more serial killers who the creators of the program have either featured as themselves or based characters.
Oh my gosh, let's do it.
In season 5 of American Horror Story, James March, played by Evan Peters, is introduced. He's the man who built and owned the Hotel Cortez in the 1920s, designing it so he could hunt and hide the victims of his murderous addiction.
What the frick?
He has a sadistic personality and loved to hear his victims scream for help. After being caught by police, he killed his faithful companion, Mrs. Evans, along with himself by cutting his own throat.
Damn.
And their ghosts now remain in the hotel and are the backbone of the 5th season.
Shit.
It's scary to think that James March's character is thought to be based on the deranged American serial killer Herman Webster Mudgett, famously known as Henry Howard Holmes, one of the first and most horrific serial killers of all time. Henry was born in 1861 to a wealthy family in New Hampshire, and despite being very intelligent, there were signs from an early age that something was not right. He had a fascination with medicine and the dissection of animals, and although reports are fuzzy, it's believed he carried out cruel, unethical experiments on whatever animals he could get his hands on, and was also responsible for the death of a friend. As he got older, he went on to study medicine at the University of Michigan, and this is where he started stealing corpses, abandoning the bodies and then claiming they were his relatives to claim insurance money.
What?
It's also believed he used a few of the bodies to carry out experiments. In 1886, at the age of 25, Herman moved to Chicago and started using the name Dr. Henry H. Holmes. He quickly found work in a pharmacy and took it over, many believing that he killed the owner, but there is very little information to back this up. Shortly after taking over the pharmacy, he started the construction of a 3-story building on a plot of land across the road from the drugstore. It was built with the sole intention of being a place for Henry to fulfill his desire to torture and kill his victims.
Oh my gosh.
Since he was incredibly wealthy, he could build the perfect murder hotel, and that's exactly what he did. It was built with soundproof rooms, a bank vault where he would leave victims to suffocate, a secret room that was sealed in apart from a trapdoor in the roof where Henry would lock people in and leave them to die, as well as staircases to nowhere, strange corridors, and other unusual features. By 1893, Holmes was using the first floor as a pharmacy, and he had opened up the rest of the house as a hotel. As you can imagine, many of the guests who checked in never checked out.
Oh my gosh!
After luring mostly women into the hotel with promise of employment, they would be killed by the gas pipes that were fitted into the rooms, and taken into the basement where Henry would dissect and make skeleton models to be sold to medical schools, before burning the remains in 2 huge furnaces.
Fuck?
This carried on for many months, and if not for his greed of money, he may have continued killing for much longer. After he refused to pay a man some owed money, he was reported to the police. Whilst on the run, Henry went on to kill one of his con artist friends, Benjamin Pittersall, and 3 of his children, before he was finally arrested in Boston on November the 17th, 1894.
Oh my gosh.
The police searched the hotel and all was revealed, and on the 7th of May, 1896, he was hanged.
Only
for his
27
crimes.
murders? He probably murdered more.
H. Holmes is now regarded as one of the first serial killers the world has ever seen, and although he confessed to killing 27 people, later changing this to only 2, reports say he took the lives of up to 200 people in that hotel.
Oh shit. Okay.
Despite surviving a mysterious fire in 1895, the hotel, dubbed the Murder Castle, was torn down in 1938. There is no denying the creators of American Horror Story had H. Holmes in mind when creating James March, and Martin Scorsese is reported to be making an upcoming movie on the serial killer, to be played by Leonardo DiCaprio, which I'm sure will be a huge success.
That'd be sweet! I'm excited. Ooh.
Elizabeth Báthory. For some, it may be hard to believe that Lady Gaga's character in American Horror Story is actually based on a real person, but it is. It's based on a Hungarian lady called Countess Elizabeth Báthory. Elizabeth was born in around 1560 to a very privileged family and enjoyed her childhood at Eastwood Castle. By age 10 she was engaged, most likely arranged by her family to Phorenik Nadesty, and when she was 15 they married. After their marriage, the couple had at least 6 children and moved into another castle where Elizabeth managed all of the business affairs whilst her husband was away at war. In 1604, her husband died at the age of 48, and shortly after this, rumours of Elizabeth's crimes started to circulate. Adolescent daughters of local peasants were disappearing, apparently being lured to Elizabeth's castle with promise of work. It said the young girls were beaten, burnt, and parts of their flesh were bitten off, and then they were left to freeze or starve to death. Witnesses started reporting seeing tortured dead bodies, some of whom were secretly buried in graveyards and other locations in the area.
Oh.
And eventually the rumours became too frequent and gruesome to be ignored, and the Countess was arrested.
Damn.
During her trial, it was cited that Báthory had killed up to 650 young women, although only 80 have been confirmed.
Shit.
Despite the overwhelming evidence against her, Elizabeth's high standing and influence kept her from facing adequate punishment, and she was imprisoned in 1610 within her own castle in Slovakia, where she remained in a set of rooms until her death 4 years later.
Wow.
As for her 4 accomplices who helped supply the young women, 2 of them were condemned to death immediately and had their fingers ripped off their hands with hot pliers before being burned at the stake. The 3rd was beheaded before being burned, and the 4th was sentenced to life in prison.
Shit.
So why did Countess Báthory kill and mutilate so many girls? Well, it's thought that in search of eternal youth, she bathed in the blood of virgins and had vampire-like tendencies, ordering her accomplices to kill whenever she needed to bathe in blood. This earned her the name of Countess of Dracula, which a film was based off, and a place in the Guinness Book of Records as the most prolific female serial killer ever. A perfect candidate for a main character in American Horror Story.
At least she made history.
Gordon Northcutt. Now, this next one is not an actual character in the show, but as
did you say Gordon Northcutt? Is that did? Did he just say Gordon North C-word? Did he actually just? Is that his last name? Yeah, I can tell why he fucking murdered people.
Clever
with the last name like
one
that,
of the
yeah.
characters, and may explain some of her bizarre behaviour. Hazel Edwards is the Hotel Cortez laundress, often seen cleaning blood-stained sheets in the programme. Little is known about her apart from her devotion to James March, requesting she be his last victim. But Hazel has a tragic story of her own that has a clever twist to reality. She lost her only child, Albert, on Halloween in the 1920s. Her and Albert were out trick-or-treating when she stopped to speak to a friend. Her back was only turned for a minute, but it was long enough for Albert to be lured into a strange man's car. After alerting police, they searched the home of a local chicken farmer and found the bodies of 3 young boys, although Albert was not one of them. It said that he was the victim of Gordon Northcutt, the man they called the Wineville chicken coop murderer. Northcutt was born in Canada and spent his early years with his parents in British Columbia. In 1924, he moved with his parents to Los Angeles, where he set up a chicken ranch in Wineville.
Fuck, I'm scared. From Canada, where I'm from, and then went to Los Angeles, where my girlfriend lives. What the fuck is life right now? What?
California. By the age of 21, Gordon was living on a ranch with his mother and 15-year-old nephew Sanford Clark, and for several years he abducted young boys and killed them when he grew tired of them, either hitting them with an axe or shooting them.
What the fuck?
He would then dissolve their flesh with calcium oxide and dispose of their bones. Scarily, Northcutt would have gone on killing and raping young boys for much longer, if not for Sanford Clark's parents getting concerned about how their son was being treated at the farm. In August 1928, 2 United States Immigration Service inspectors visited the ranch and took 15-year-old Sanford Clark into custody. After speaking to Sanford Clark, he told detectives about the murders and directed them to a newly dug gravesite under one of the chicken coops. There they found blood-soaked earth, human bones, hair, and a blood-stained axe and rifle. Clark also revealed that he had been beaten and abused by Northcutt, and that Northcutt's mother had took part in the killings. A few weeks later, Gordon and his mother were arrested, and despite no complete bodies ever being found, Northcutt was convicted of 3 murders and sentenced to death at the age of 23 on October 2nd, 1930. His mother was convicted of just 1 murder, that of 9-year-old Walter Collins, and received a life sentence. In a bizarre twist to this story, the mother of Walter Collins, the boy claimed to have been murdered by Gordon's mother, pleaded with police to search for her son, as she was certain he was not a victim of the chicken coop murders. The Clint Eastwood movie The Changeling is the story of Walter's mother's plea with the authorities to search for her son.
Dude, I've seen this movie, The Changeling. I think I've That rings a bell. Like, I think I've seen part of it. I don't think I've seen the whole movie because it got really, really scary. But it's like, wasn't she like, oh, like, I saw my son. Isn't that like from that movie? She's like, I saw my son. My son's not dead. And they're like, no, your son's dead. He got murdered. But she's like, no, my son's alive. He's not dead. Isn't it that? Isn't that movie? Guys, let me know if that's the movie down below that I'm thinking of right now. I think that's what it's from. Oh, mind fucked right now, man. I'm mind fucked right now.
So, although Gordon Northcutt is not a character in American Horror Story, the producers have put the links to him and his killings in the series through Hazel Edwards. Jeffery Dahmer. In Season 5, Jeffery Dahmer, played by Seth Gable, is a guest at the Devil's Night. As you all know, the character isn't based on anyone, but appears as Jeffery Dahmer himself, and he is one of the most infamous serial killers of all time. Jeffrey was born in Wisconsin on May the 21st, 1960, and was a loved and happy child. After a minor operation at the age of 6 and the birth of his younger brother, something happened and Jeffrey became isolated and insecure. By the age of 14, he had an interest in murder and necrophilia, and after his parents divorced, it seemed these thoughts turned into actions, when on June 1978, just after he had graduated from high school, Jeffrey picked up a hitchhiker named Steve Hicks. He took Steve back to his parents' house and got him drunk, and when Hicks tried to leave, Dahmer bludgeoned him with a barbell, cut him up and buried the pieces in the woodland behind his parents' house. Shortly after the killing, his drinking got out of control, and Dahmer's father ordered him to enroll in the army. He was posted to Germany, but his army career was cut short when he was discharged for alcoholism in 1981. Now aged 21, Dahmer returned to Ohio and dug up Hicks's remains, smashed them with a hammer until pulverized, and scattered them around the woods. In the years that followed, Dahmer's alcoholism continued, and he was arrested several times for disorderly conduct and was finally jailed for performing a sexual act in front of 2 young boys.
Shit.
It wasn't until 9 years after he killed Hicks that Dahmer killed again. This time it was Stephen Tuomi, a man he had met in a gay bar. The pair checked into a hotel, and by the following morning, Stephen was cut up and left out with the garbage. Dahmer went on killing for a further 13 years, killing mostly gay African Americans who he had lured into his house, where he would strangle or bludgeon to death. He would then engage in sexual acts with the corpses before dismembering and disposing of the bodies. Astonishingly, during this time, Dahmer was arrested for molesting a child, but he was so convincing in his defense that he only received a minor sentence. After his release and now living in his own flat, despite missed opportunities by the police to investigate, Dahmer killed a further 12 victims.
Oh my gosh.
With the body count growing, he experimented with chemical ways of body disposal, and along with eating the flesh of his victims, he also started drilling holes in their heads whilst they were...
I'm hungry AF right now because I haven't eaten breakfast yet, and it is 3:43 p.m. I've not eaten yet today, but I think I just lost my appetite.
Still alive and injecting muriatic acid in an attempt to keep them half alive.
What
Dahmer claims
the
that they all died
frick?
instantly except one, who he said stayed alive for several days in a zombie-like state.
Damn.
On July the 22nd, 1991, Dahmer was finally caught when police found one of his potential victims wandering the street drugged and handcuffed. He led them to Dahmer's apartment, and an officer noticed photographs of dismembered bodies and a severed head in the fridge. After investigations, a whole catalogue of horrors were found, including 3 frozen heads, jars of preserved body parts, and many skulls.
Oh my gosh.
Dahmer was sentenced to 15 consecutive life sentences, and despite initially being segregated in prison, he was eventually allowed to mingle with other prisoners, and was killed by fellow prisoner Christopher Scarver, a schizophrenic murderer who beat him to death with a metal bar shortly after meeting him.
Good job, dude. Good job. Respects.
Aileen Wuornos.
Respects.
Played by Lilly Rabe in Season 5, Aileen Wuornos was another gruesome guest of Devil's Night, and her story makes many debate whether killers are made or born. Aileen was born on February 29, 1956 in Rochester, Michigan, and had a truly traumatic childhood. Her father killed himself in prison while serving a sentence for child abuse, and her mother abandoned her and her brother when she was 4 years old, leaving them both with their alcoholic grandmother and violent grandfather. During her childhood, she was sexually abused by her grandfather, and as a teenager, she gave birth to a child who was given up for adoption. As a young woman, Aileen was homeless and lived in the woods, with her only income being prostitution. She managed to hitchhike her way to Florida, where she settled and married Louis Fall in 1976, but due to an arrest for disorderly conduct, Fall left her shortly after. For 10 years, Aileen drifted around and was arrested for numerous petty crimes, and in 1986, she started a relationship with 24-year-old Tyria Moore. It was during this relationship that
Bad
Aileen went on a
relationship.
killing spree, murdering at least 7 men between 1989 and 1990. Her first victim was Richard Mallory, and his body was found in a junkyard, having been shot several times. Wuornos claims she killed him in self-defense as he tried to rape her. Although this may have been true, it must have given her a taste for murder. She continued prostitution along the Florida highways and went on to kill 6 more men. All these victims were shot, and their bodies and abandoned cars were found alongside state highways in Florida. A palm print in one of the abandoned cars led police to Aileen and her possible accomplice, Tyria Moore, and in 1991, Moore did a deal with the police and Aileen took sole responsibility for the crimes. Initially, she was tried and convicted of killing 6 men in self-defense, but she later retracted this and was sentenced to death in 1992. After spending 10 years on death row, she was executed by lethal injection on the morning of October 9th, 2002. Aileen Wuornos is now considered one of the most psychopathic female killers in history, and many documentaries, books, and films have been based on her crimes, including the 2003 movie Monster, and of course, a feature in American Horror Story.
Damn.
So that's 5 real serial killers who inspired American Horror Story characters. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next week for another one.
Oh my gosh, yo. Yo, I hope you guys enjoyed my reaction to this video. If you did, please drop a like and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. That's crazy, guys. Oh. That's too much death for me to handle right now. I think I did actually lose my appetite. Oh, I just killed them in self-defense. They were trying to rape me. Yeah, every single fucking one of them. You put yourself up for prostitution. Boy, I mean, girl, or fucking stupid. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next reaction video. Peace.